Hey, what's up, y'all? I want to share Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Now, the first thing that comes to people's minds is a huge motivational speech. Okay, and a lot of times when people hear that verse, they'll think, well, I'm gonna go join the NBA and I'm gonna become the world's greatest basketball player because I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Okay, well, first of all, people quote that one scripture and they take it complete out of context. Okay, that scripture was not talking about self help, self self affirmation, none of that type of stuff. Again, this is the dangers of reading one scripture, because when you just sit up here and read one scripture, you take that one scripture and take it completely out of context. That's why you got these radical That's why you got certain churches that sit up here and they make a whole motivational speech out of that one scripture. Before you see, this is why it's important to read the whole passage of scripture. You got to go a few scriptures up and a few scriptures down to understand what that scripture is saying. So what we're going to do is that we're going to start at Philippians chapter 4 verse 11, and then we're going to scroll on down to 13. All right, now that I speak in respect of want, I have learned in whatsoever state that I am therein to be content. I know both how to be abased and I know how to be abound. Everywhere and in all things I am instructed both to be full and to be hungry, both to be abound and to suffer need. I can do all things through Christ which strengthens me. Okay, so what is Paul talking about? Well, see, Paul, when he quoted that scripture, he was talking about learning how to be content in the situation that he was in, because Paul was in prison. Okay, Paul was getting persecuted. He was in jail for his faith. Okay, and so when he was speaking about I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me, he wasn't talking about a form. He wasn't speaking from a form of, you know, uh, I'm gonna become the world's greatest businessman, or I'm gonna pursue my own business, or no, it wasn't talking about no type of motivational speech and none of that type of stuff. Paul was using that as a form of encouraging himself when he was in prison. That's what Paul was talking about. Because again, Paul was addressing the situation that he was in. It had nothing to do with a motivational speech. Okay? So, yeah, that's all I want to say right there. And yeah, when we read scripture, we cannot just read one scripture. We have to go a few scriptures up and a few scriptures down to understand what the one scripture is saying. That's all I'm going to say. God bless you. Have a blessed night.